Hello.
Hello, Grace.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Not bad, thank you. Not bad. Where are you coming from? Where are you at the moment?
I'm coming from Melbourne, Australia.
Wow. Does not expect you to say that.
That's where I am.
Amazing.
Melbourne, Australia.
Awesome. Is that just for pleasure or is it work or
I am trying, Grace, to live my dream hybrid life between Melbourne and London.
amazing?
So that's where I've built Clutch, working out of both cities.
Yeah,
And I'm chasing the summer, essentially.
that's pretty valid. Yeah, it's
That's the plan.
yeah. Hi, guys, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Actors Waiting Room podcast. And this week I have with me Laura Meredith, who is a casting director from her very own casting company called Clutch Casting. So, hello.
Hello, Grace. Thank you for having me.
No, it's great. It's great. You are my first ever casting director to have on. So, very
And
thrilled.
you are my first podcast, Grace, so we're in this together, honey.
Exactly, exactly. Amazing. So I thought we would talk more about how you kind of became a casting director, and then we can get on to some sort of like actory questions that you probably have had thousands of times towards like later on in the episode. But it would be really nice to sort of have a brief little overview of like what how you got into casting and yeah, we'll go from there.
Of course. So I was an actor. I trained at Arts Ed, 3 years acting, had the time of my life. Left Arts Ed, and as everyone looking for a job to do on the side, um, I was working in hospitality at the time, and I wanted something else. And a friend of a friend was a street caster. So they go onto the street to find people that match briefs.
I
And
that was the
she's,
thing. I had no idea
yeah,
that was the thing. Okay, we can talk about that later. Sorry, carry
we'll
on.
get to that. We'll get to that. It's great fun, but also very daunting as someone fresh out of drama school.
Mm.
And anyway, as she was sick, so she needed cover. So I covered her and I was giving a brief to find footballers, like teenage boys. And then I went on the street and I was finding these footballers, and then I would just get more street casting gigs. And then I wormed my way into the office and I didn't leave for 7 years. I stayed in that office and worked. And again, it was great. Um, and at the time, I was still acting. It was when I first began, it was definitely something that I was doing on the side of my acting career. But after a few years, I just found myself prioritizing my casting work over acting and realizing that I was falling out of love with acting and in love with casting. Um, and then I decided that this is what I want to do. And I started Clutch only about a month ago. So I left the office where I was working. I was doing some freelancing at other places too. And I jumped 2 feet headfirst into working for myself and my own office. And we specialize in short form media, so commercials, short films, music videos. I say we. That's just a habit because it's just me right now. But eventually there will be a we.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I stumbled across it because I think for casting it is such a mysterious like career that people don't know. Like you don't grow up wanting to work in casting. You don't even know much about it. Even as an actor, it's still kind of got this air of mystery to it.
Yeah.
It is something that people just generally fall into, and
Mm.
that's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah, I feel that's kind of, well, not always, but I felt that after I've spoken to agents, that's a similar route that they've had as well, is
Mm.
that you know, they were starting out as a performer in whatever genre and then have entered into a new space of you know, agenting and stuff. And I think having a background in that performing arts area, gives you such a great benefit as a casting director to be like, I know exactly how the actor's feeling in this moment to enter into a room and things. And I'm wondering, this street casting, thought that was only for like modeling, but that's hilarious that you do that for, I guess, in commercials.
Yeah, commercials. It's what I worked at road casting, and that's they're called road casting for a reason because they started finding people on the road.
Mm.
And they're specialised in that as well as traditional casting methods, and that is a part like an aspect that I want to bring into Clutch because I've learned there's so much magic to be found in those people that aren't trained or have never been on a set before and are plucked straight off the street.
Mm.
Um, I am also using other methods that aren't necessarily like street casting on the street, but definitely like the use of social media and more modern and experimental ways of finding talent.
Mm.
I like to blend the two together. So
Mm.
I think having a mix, if you have a project and having a mix of a trained actor or a professional model with someone with absolutely no experience, I think there's something so magic in that blend.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, and like a lot, what is so precious about commercials and short films and music videos that I love so much is you don't need experience to be able to be a great person for those projects, you know? Like that is why I fell in love with this kind of medium because you can find such interesting, unique people
Mm.
and they are going to be a great fit for
Mm.
your project rather than TV and film, which I really don't have much experience about long feature film,
Mhm.
where, you know, there's more criteria to match, there's more expertise to be had for
Yeah.
them.
Mhm.
But for the medium that I work for, it's not essential. And I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
And in your, obviously in the previous, was it road casting that you were at? What sort of mediums were you casting for? Was it commercials or what was it?
Yeah, it was commercial. It was, yeah. And now they're branching out into features and they're doing amazing things. But yeah, it was this same kind of short form stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And how would you, if somebody did want to enter into the casting arena and they're an actor, or they don't even have to be an actor, but how would you suggest that somebody enter into that space and just get a bit more experience with casting? Because I don't know, because obviously I'm on the other side of it, but it does seem like you have to have years and years and years of experience to do casting and for directors to trust you. And it seems quite a lot of like relationship building and things like that. So it might be quite hard for somebody to get into it. So how would you advise that?
It's true. I think from what I've witnessed, you really do have to start from the bottom. You
Hmm.
know, like I did. I was on the streets and wormed my way in. And I
Hmm.
think that is the only way because, as you say, it is very much built on trust and relationships. But like you can start from the bottom. You can get a job as an assistant with whatever experience you have, I think is useful in the casting world, especially as an actor.
Hmm.
I think there is some controversy in this, whether actors are, you know, employable casting assistants or eventually casting directors. But I passionately believe there is so much good in having that acting experience.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's not only like just knowing the industry and people in it
Mhm.
and how it is being on the other side of the table, but also so much of the resilience you build, the bravery you build, the person like the skills, the personable skills.
Yeah.
Um, there's so much to be brought from the acting industry into the casting world. But yeah, to answer your question on how to get into it, I would say just start from the bottom, go into an office as an assistant,
Hmm.
um, and you can suss it out from there if it's something you want to pursue or
Yeah.
not. And as you said, there's also other avenues. I know people who have crossed from casting into agenting or agent into casting and producing, and you know, it's all a gorgeous melting pot, and you've got to find
Yeah.
what your thing is. And if it's acting, great, but there was also so many roles in there that
Mm.
don't know about,
Yeah.
especially as like if you're not in the industry, if you're at secondary school, I didn't even know what drama school was.
Yeah,
Like
me
it
neither.
depends on yeah, exactly. It depends on your exposure. But for me, as soon as I entered, I was like, oh, there's a world of opportunity and there's a world of roles that, you can experiment with.
How did you find balancing your acting career with your sort of casting work? How did that, was that easy for you or was it quite difficult?
It only got difficult when I started thinking, when I got an acting gig and I started thinking, oh, I think I'd rather be
Yeah.
casting.
Yeah.
That's when it got difficult. But before that, most casting assistants, from what I'm aware of, are freelancers.
Yes.
So they, can come and go as they please.
Mm,
Um, but that being said, it does take a lot of commitment. And I just quickly realized that I was ready to give that commitment. I don't think it works if your priorities are definitely acting. I think
yeah.
I was allowed to experiment with what
Mm,
I preferred and very quickly went to casting.
yeah.
Um,
I think that's like you said, because it's like kind of the beauty of the industry. I think a lot of people when they graduate from drama school, they think I just have to do acting and that's the only thing I can focus on. And like that's quite daunting because actually you have a lot of time waiting to go, right, when's my next job? And then I have to go get another job that's like completely different or like in hospitality and things like that. And honestly, if you're in a position, and I was in this position where working in a theatre and I was like, I'm here 90% of the time and 10% I am waiting or maybe performing and things like that. And there's no harm, I don't think, in like going off on another venture for a little while. And then if you want to come back to acting, like it's always still going to be there. There's not like an age restriction on acting, which I think is great because people are casted. And like I went to a casting workshop and there was this lady and they were like, turn to the person next to you and explain like a little bit about yourself and stuff. And I was like, oh, well, I went to drama school and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what about you? And she was probably about, I don't know, maybe about 60. And she was like, I divorced my husband. I was a nurse for my whole life. And now I want to try acting. And I've just done like a soap. And I was like, what? And that was like unheard of to me because I thought you have to go to drama school, you have to do like this proper route, probably because maybe a similar background to you. I didn't know what drama school was. I didn't know how to enter this industry really. Um,
mm,
but I think, yeah, it's those things you can always pick up other skills and go back.
yeah. It's always going to be there. It's like and that's what also gave me the bravery to really step into casting
Mm.
because I'd worked my whole life for acting and it's so daunting feeling like I'm now choosing not that.
Yes.
But it helps to reassure yourself that if I do, you're allowed to change your mind
Yeah.
and it will always be there. So it's
Mm.
something comforting. And I also do think it's really important to give yourself the permission to try other things,
Mm.
especially when some actors are only in work a small percentage of the time, and you deserve to find fulfillment in other aspects of your life, whether
Yeah.
that's creative or not, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think it's important to allow yourself to
Yeah.
dip your toes elsewhere.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about clutch casting, which is exciting. What sort of made you decide to be like, I'm gonna open my own casting company and just I'm gonna be the casting director and here we go. What was that sort of like jump to be like, I'm gonna do it?
Absolute delusion. No, I'm joking. It was. I was just getting really, I just realized how much I loved it
Hmm.
and how much I wanted to do this and
Yeah.
how much I wanted, how much I realized I had to give in terms of, new ideas and the way I wanted to run things and be independent. Also, I'm casting between London and Melbourne.
Mhm.
I spent a bit of time in Melbourne freelancing and, realized that especially here, there was for want of a better word, like a gap in the market. And I think London is ahead of anywhere else in the world, in my opinion, but still could always do with something a bit more fresh.
Mm.
Uh, and also, I was just seeking that independence and that, and the idea to work for myself was something that was in the back of my head
Yeah.
um, for a long time, and I just
Yeah.
seized it. I seized that one, and
Did you
here we
feel
are.
like a sort of a powerful sort of ownership on the fact that you could cast who you liked and like casted, faces that you genuinely believed in? Was that, quite liberating maybe for you?
Yeah, and also finding new ways to find the people.
Yeah.
As in like traditional methods, I'm here. We all know and love them. They're here to stay. But also, as I said previously, like the reach I felt like was being missed from social media, for example.
Mm. Mm.
Um, I feel like people are um, becoming aware of that now, and I felt like I could use my skills um, in social media and branding and that kind of thing to get the reach that I
Mm.
knew, or I'm still in the process of getting that reach. But I feel like there was something that could be used there.
Mm.
And also bringing both perspectives of London or the UK and Oz. I feel like both industries could learn a bit from each other.
Yeah. What is the
And
industry like in Australia? Like what is that like there?
it feels very, the only way I can describe it is very commercial
Okay.
in a way that it feels like the faces and the people that are seen on screen um, are a bit more traditional. And I
Okay.
think there is a room for a bit of a shift and
Mm.
a bit of a more opportunity for more unexpected casting decisions to be
Oh,
made
okay. Interesting. Yeah, yeah.
in
Um,
Oz.
yeah. What did you find was like kind of the hardest thing when you opened, or you're still in the process of kind of like opening up your company,
Mm.
sort of like what was sort of the hardest thing and what was sort of the best thing of opening up your own casting
I
company?
think one thing I'm finding difficult at the minute is the isolation of it, like not working as part of a team or not having someone like with on the shared mission,
Yeah.
you know? And I didn't really anticipate that. I knew that I would be working by myself, obviously, but I
Mm.
didn't anticipate how isolating that would be. Like even just being able to like spitball ideas or like, casting is a lot about like remembering people you saw in like theatre or film and like having someone just to
Yes.
bounce off. Like I've not got that. I'm just staring at myself
Yeah,
like come
no.
on remember their name you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
so
Definitely.
that has been harder, or like ideas for whatever it is, not just people's names, or like just decision making in business, like doing it without anyone to talk to is way harder than I expected.
Hmm.
But the best thing I would say is getting the clients, like knowing that people want what Clutch has to offer has been just reassuring
Mm.
that I'm not delusional, and also just really motivating that like I am doing the right thing,
Mm.
because you can doubt, we've all experienced it in all our different avenues of work, but it's nice when you have the fuel of no, you're doing the right thing and
Yeah,
like your work is wanted. So
yeah.
yeah, that's dopamine hits whenever that happens.
Absolutely. And when you mentioned before about, and this is another question that I've got further down, but it's really interesting to see a casting director on TikTok, like in a good way. I don't mean like interesting, but it is like really refreshing to see that. And when I came across your page and obviously invited you to come on and chat, it was really refreshing to see like a casting director going through that avenue of discovering talent through TikTok because it's not easy. There are
Mm.
thousands of people on TikTok, and I can imagine you have been, inundated with lots of messages, people wanting to connect. And although that's exciting, that's also quite overwhelming to have a lot of like actors be like, I'll send my spotlight link over and all that type of stuff. Um, but yeah, I really think it's amazing that you've decided to do that. And I think if you're able to cast in other areas of, not traditional platforms, that will open up a whole new avenue to creatives. in a like
Yeah.
in an amazing way because there are still, I can imagine that there are still a lot of talented people out there that aren't able to get on Spotlight yet because of, the criteria that you need to get onto Spotlight, which is there for a reason,
Mm.
obviously. But yeah, and I'm wondering sort of what made you make that decision to be like, I'm going to start on TikTok. I'm gonna, you know.
Just because of the reach it has, our job is to find the right people for the projects.
Mm.
And it is only going to benefit me if I can reach as many people as possible with that brief.
Mm.
I can only do so much in, like, say, let's use the footballers analogy. I can only do so much of like going to football matches or football training sessions, which I will do. Like, I will still continue to do that more like old-fashioned method because I
Mm.
think it's works and it still happens for a reason. But also the reach I can get from a TikTok post looking for those footballers is
Mm.
only going to benefit me in getting as many options for the team, but
Yeah.
also gives opportunities to those people who even aren't in wherever I am,
Yeah.
or the people who don't know the industry well enough to know to be on Spotlight or can't get on Spotlight, or even the ones that you can get onto, like just the reach of the people. Everyone is on TikTok, no matter your social your class or your
Or
your
following
race
count or
or
things like
your
that.
following or your experience, you
Mm.
know, everyone is there. And that's what I want to be proud of doing, is reaching everybody from every corner
Yeah.
of every community. And
Yeah.
TikTok is brilliant at doing that.
Yeah.
So I have to utilize it.
Yeah, definitely. Talk to me about your side when it comes to submissions, because yeah, as actors, we don't fully know what goes on behind the scenes of a casting, and once a casting brief is put out there, I bet you are receiving sometimes thousands of submissions for one job, and I'm wondering how you even manage to process that for one, but also two, how do you do it? Like, how do you go through all these submissions and just think, okay, maybe we'll have this person, maybe we'll try this person, what's kind of your process for that if you have one?
I mean, it's an interesting question because I'm still working it out. I'm still learning
Yeah,
what the best process is.
yeah.
But what I find myself doing mostly, especially with commercials, which is what I mainly do,
Mm.
is using the brand to try and inform my decision. I think that's the way that it works best, is when I think of the brand, what kind of faces would they like to see?
Hmm.
What kind of faces would they not think they might like to see that might be more unexpected?
Mm.
And I kind of use that as my reference in my choices when I'm seeing all these faces in front of me.
Yeah,
I just use the brand as my steer. And as I
yeah,
said, in terms of what they will definitely like and things that they don't know they will like it.
yeah. And I think that gives relief to the performer as well because we can't control what that brand brief will be. So, I know sometimes we all get very upset about, rejections and it might not be going somewhere, but you can't help the way that you look sometimes and a casting brief comes along and if you just don't fit that, it's not we take it very personally, obviously, because it is kind of a rejection, but also at the same time, it's trying to fit you into a certain box that this brand particularly wants for this certain thing. And I think, yeah, I think it's a relief to the performer to know that because you
And I
can't.
think it works on the other end of the stick, whereas like sometimes you'll receive a tape, like I remember as an actor receiving a tape and thinking, I'm not right for this.
Mm,
I'm not this person.
yeah.
But I would urge actors to, if you've been given the tape or the audition,
Hmm.
don't doubt that you're not the right person for that. The casting director has chosen you for a reason. They must have a nugget of information that you don't know about.
Yeah.
So, like, I would just encourage anyone to never doubt why they might have been given it, because they don't know the whole picture. They don't know even about the brand or what conversations have been happening behind closed doors or the
Yeah.
director's preferences. So, yeah, I just always remember as an actor feeling like not always, sometimes being like, oh, interesting. I'm not sure about this. I'm not
Yeah.
going to really try because it's probably not for me.
Yeah.
Uh,
I've had many similar things. I had one literally last week and I thought, is this really me? And I gave it to my boyfriend and I said, we're going to tape this. And he was like, no, this is so you. So I think the way sometimes you perceive yourself is very different to how someone would perceive you from through. And you've got to like remember as well, they're only perceiving you through a show reel and a
mhm,
headshot. That's all
mhm.
they get to see of you. And like you can't show your entire personality through that. You're just not able to. And so I find it really interesting when people go, "Oh, you would suit that type of character." And I'd go, "I'm nothing like that." You go, "Yeah, but then you're like, but yeah, I could see you doing that." And so I think,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a really good piece of advice to if you don't agree with it, still give it 100%. That's such a good tip.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Um, so, is there anything that you can give from a casting perspective on your side of things that could help the actor in any form that may be? That may be emails, submitting. Yeah, is there any sort of advice that you could give to actors from your side of the table that would also benefit you as a casting director, I think, as well, that makes your life a bit easier?
Something I learned very quickly into coming into casting was how much the casting genuinely is on your side. I
Mm,
felt like as an actor, I always saw casting directors as quite as something daunting or intimidating because they do hold power, or we do hold power in the industry.
mm,
Um, but I just didn't know how much they were on my side and really, really rooting for me. And we are.
mm,
We've brought you into the room or put you on a tape because we've been asked to find people. So
mm.
we want you to get the job. And I think it's really easy to forget that.
Yeah.
So I think whenever you come into a room, whenever you're putting down on a tape, we're on the same team.
Mm,
Us and actors, we're on the same team. We want the same thing. We have the same shared goal, which is to get you the job.
yeah.
So I think that's just something that is probably maybe obvious, but as an
Mm,
actor, I really wasn't aware on how much we are genuinely on the same team, and it would make such a big difference entering the room, knowing we're in this together.
mm,
Even like whatever you need, if you need a word with the casting director before an audition, for whatever reason, can you just give me some clarity on this line before I go in front of the director?
mm,
Or if you have a question that you want to fire over an email,
mm.
obviously we're busy, we get a lot of emails, but if you think it's something important, we're on your team. I
Yeah.
can't emphasize it enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, and then that when I started going into auditions after being on the other side of the table,
Mm,
holding that knowledge made me just enter those rooms with so much more confidence and reassurance that there was someone there
yeah.
that was rooting for me. They're not against me, you know?
Mm, yeah. That's a great answer. And I think, yeah, we do forget that. We definitely do forget that. You think that you do. You come in and sometimes when you have a panel of, I mean, I think I've had a panel of like 8 before, and you just go, oh, there's a lot of people. And you do think you go, I'm one side and they're the other side. Obviously, because
Absolutely.
visually it represents that, but also, yeah, but it's, yeah, nice to know that you are a bit of like an A team with your casting director. That's really nice to
Absolutely.
know. How do you network in general? Like, how do you reach out to, I'm guessing, production companies? I don't really know your side of things, but do you reach out to production companies? Do you reach out to directors and things like that? Like, how do you sort of network?
Yeah, both production companies and directors are my go-tos.
Mm,
Um, I find networking, I personally find difficult. It's something that I'm trying to battle with, especially now that I'm responsible for getting my own business in. So that's important. Um, but I heard a phrase recently. I was gonna say I read it, but it was probably on TikTok. That um, success is on the other side of embarrassment. And I'm
mm,
trying to put that into place. Sometimes it's embarrassing being at a screening and going up to someone, introducing yourself.
mm,
But, if the mouth that's closed doesn't get fed or whatever that phrase is.
yeah.
Um, So yeah, I network at screenings. I love going to screenings, especially short films. It's perfect for me because it's quick,
Yeah.
um, and it introduces new actors, up and coming actors in short films, as well as you also see seasoned actors and that blend that I was talking about before. That's my favorite thing to see. So screenings are great, and because a lot of the creatives will be at the screening, so that is why it's a good place to be for me. But then
Mm.
also just reaching out via email to production companies, directors, producers that are freelance, hopping around all the different production companies or making work for themselves. Um, but yeah, sometimes writers too.
Mm.
But I found that a lot of the writers recently are also directing at the same time. They're doing the whole
Oh,
shebang themselves. So
oh, okay.
sometimes that blends. But yeah, that is how I network.
Yeah, and is it sort of true, or I don't know if that's the right word, but do you keep a spreadsheet record of actors that you genuinely love and want to invite back, even if they didn't get it the first time, type thing? You have a record of, who you're interested in, I guess.
Yeah, so I have my own list that I keep and I'll add to all the time. And it's just like a reference point because my brain can only hold so much. So if I
Cool.
get a certain brief in, I will just go through my list and see who stands out. And then those people will remind me of other people. And not everyone is on that list, but because there's just so many incredible actors out there.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, that list is like my sacred, my
Yeah.
sacred list.
Yeah.
That it's like a hobby of mine to build that. And yeah, that is where anytime I see anyone in an audition or on a tape or on a TV show or in a short film, they'll go on that list.
Yeah, yeah. And do you still do, I know obviously you find people through, non sort of traditional avenues, but do you still, look on Spotlight? Is that still what you do as well? You still look on Spotlight?
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially with like, because I'm doing a couple of short films right now at the minute, so I've been mainly in the traditional space, which is would say Spotlight. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm still very much there.
Yeah. Good. Good, good, good. Amazing. So more sort of fun questions now. Is there any actors that are quite well known that you would just love to be able to cast for things? Is there any actors that you just go, yeah, like I love everything that they do, like a fan of?
There are, but I
Mhm.
feel like I don't know if it's me or if other casting people would say the same, but I feel like I'm not normal when I watch TV or film. Like I feel as casting, I'm not watching Sarah Lancashire in Happy Valley. I'm seeing who is that receptionist that was on one scene who said
Ah,
three lines, or who played that person's daughter in the opening scene that is never seen again.
yes,
Like those are the people that catch my eye
yes.
because those are the people that I'm probably gonna have more luck casting in a commercial
Mm,
or in a short film. Obviously, like I love casting seasoned actors in short films or scripted work too,
yeah.
but I don't. I'm not going to struggle to
Mm,
find them or remember them. It's those smaller
impression.
parts
Yeah.
that are impressionable or even just faces that don't even say anything.
Yeah.
I'll be on IMDb looking and like who was City Woman number two, like that. They're the people, and like my favorite thing then is to watch an old film and spot Meghan Markle playing
Yeah. Whatever she was playing. Yeah.
the primary school teacher, and you're like, what? Like, though, like that is our job to find the potential
Mm,
especially in the medias that I work in, it's finding
yeah.
those people that with potential who maybe aren't playing the leads yet, but
Mm,
will be playing the leads in 2, 5, 10 years' time.
yeah.
Um, so I don't want to name those kind of people that I'm spotting because it'd be
Yeah.
unfair to name some and not others.
Yeah.
But that is where my eyes are going when I'm watching
Mm,
great TV or great films. It's
that's
to those
really interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
bit part.
I think that's great. And I think all creatives do a similar thing. Like, even if it's a smaller part, because and I think probably that's your active brain as well, is that you kind of know how much effort has gone into that small role to make it specifically good, or like you said, it might just be a face or something. But I think as a creative, you do watch TV with an analytical eye. You can't help it. Like you
Mm,
just watch it and you're going, okay, yeah, that's really cool. Like what did I see? I think it was Black Doves, which
yeah.
is Keira Knightley in, Ben Whishaw. And I just thought Ben Whishaw, and can't remember the name of the actress, which is terrible. She was in Harry Potter as well. Um, she played like Ben Wisham's like boss.
Yeah.
She played this kind of like woman mafia boss for because he's a hitman, isn't he? And all this stuff. And I was just like, you're insane. I've never seen a woman play like this mafia like persona. And I was like, she's cracking. Like I was like, she's amazing. But I think she plays,
Yeah.
I think she's in Harry Potter actually. I think she plays like the old woman that turns into a snake or something, I think. But I literally was thought the same thing. I was like, I can't get over how, and my friends were like, okay, leave it now. And I was like, no, but I'd look at her. I was there like, I was like, she's a woman playing like this mafia, like god, like type thing. And it fits so well because I think, like when people say, oh, we need more women in film and things like that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 of course. But it's hard to put women in roles that were already established by men. So I find that like, when the new James Bond came out, when you casted a woman as James Bond, it's going to be very hard for your audience to take that on because it's already been so traditionally like written by a man, made by men, and all those things. So it's quite hard, but I was loving her. I thought she was insane.
And that's why I will rave on about doing commercials and short films and why I love it so much
Mm.
is because we can afford to throw in unexpected ideas because
Yeah.
it's way easier to take a chance for these projects, rather than the big TV and film with certain criteria and audiences and
Mm.
fan bases and things like that. For us in this medium, we
Mm.
can really push boundaries with way less obstacles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Way less obstacles. Yeah.
I know what you meant. It's fine.
You know what I
I
mean.
know it's fine. It's fine. But yeah. No, yeah. Is there anything that you're currently watching at the moment that you think is particularly good, either from an acting perspective, casting perspective, or just because you love watching it?
Well, I've been trying to, because I feel like I know the UK industry very well after all these
Mhm.
years, but now I'm doing Australia too. I'm really having to
Go deep.
I'm really having to make up for some missed years here.
Yeah.
So I've been spending a lot of time watching a lot of Aussie film, TV, short films. It
Mm.
was the Melbourne International Film Festival recently, so I had a field day there.
Oh, cool.
Um, but I am currently watching, or just finished watching The Survivors on Netflix.
Okay.
It's an Aussie drama set in Tasmania. And it's brilliant because I'm a sucker for like an ensemble cast. Like I love as
Mm.
many people as we can get in there as
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
possible. Like, I love it, and that's what it is. And it's also like a whodunit, and again, they're just my guilty pleasures. So
Okay.
it feels like I'm doing something good for my work in learning new
Yeah.
faces, new actors, but also it's just a great show. So that would be my recommendation. Because Aussie film TV, I don't feel like I've ever been exposed to it in the UK, and like
No.
it's not a thing, but it's pleasantly surprised me.
Yeah, I
It's
have an
been
Australian
amazing.
friend actually, funnily enough, who moved from Brisbane to London for an acting career, actually, funnily enough. And she was like, have you seen Muriel's Wedding? And I was like, no. I was like, what's that? And she was like, oh, it's hilarious. It's like a full Aussie cast made in Australia. It's a really old film, but she was like, it's hilarious. It's like a cracker. And I was there like, oh my God. I was there like, yeah, okay. I was like, I'll watch that, but I still need to watch that. But yeah, you
I
know.
need to watch that.
Mm,
Yeah, it's just they don't reach the other side of the pond, and some of them
no.
should. So
Yeah.
yeah, The Survivors is what I'd recommend to
Mm.
you and everyone else.
Amazing, amazing. So awesome. My last question, which I ask everybody, is what advice would you give to any creative so you can pass on your
Mm.
knowledge?
Wow, this is when my imposter syndrome comes in.
No.
I think what I have been learning and I'm still practicing is consuming media that isn't just my realm has
Mm,
been really liberating and really inspiring more than I would have imagined. Like consuming different art or music or dance or animation,
Mm,
not just as a hobby or for fun, but also for work.
mm,
I think it's really inspiring, and I think it's easy to forget as a creative that there's other mediums out there that can feed your own.
absolutely.
Um, so yeah, I think I would just say remember to be inspired by those kind of things as well. And it also just feeds that originality,
Yeah.
when you find inspiration from other sources.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really good advice. Really good advice. You always should always try to push against what you already know. I know there's some things that you always will like, but you
Mm.
won't know until you've tried other things how that's going to influence your artistic taste, I suppose, in that way.
Even as an actor, I remember at drama school, I think it was in second year, we had like a guest director come in with us, and she took us to the Tate as our characters. That was the whole thing. But taking in like just art in different forms to inspire your acting
Yeah.
was incredible. And that's where I kind of taken that nugget of advice from.
Mm.
It feeds into all creatives, not just actors, but I think that's where it sparked. And I was like, wow, there is so much to be taken from different mediums, not just what you're familiar with.
Yeah, and I don't think it's immediate as well. Like some
Mm.
things really have to
Mm.
grow on you. Like I can
Yeah.
remember going to an art gallery with a friend and I was like, I don't get it. I was like, I don't get it. I don't get this piece of work. And they'd be like, okay, we'll move on to another one. I'd be like, no, I still don't get it. I'm not getting anything. And they were like, just chill out for a second, just like try and take it in. And I was like wandering around for ages. And then I found one piece that I was like, oh, this is lovely. I was like, I could look at this all day. This is great. And but you can't just go, I'm gonna go once and then that's it. So like my friend was
Mm.
like, will you ever go again? And I was like, not sure. They were like, no, go again and go on your own maybe. Or like, try and I think some things are like magnetic where you look at it and you go, yeah, I love that. But then some things really do grow on you. And I think probably don't shy away from something straight away, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. You have to sit with certain things. It's
Yeah.
even the same with like watching a film.
Yeah.
Sometimes you watch something, you're over it, whatever, you forget about it, and then months, years down the line, like something
Yeah. We'll
is
remind you
sparked
of
in
that or
your
whatever.
exactly, and it has stayed with you way more than you thought it would.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. It's been so useful. Yeah, and you've been my first casting director, so that's great. Really
Thank you for
great.
having me. It's been a pleasure.